All right, what's up, guys? We are back, and we are ready to go. Game 2 on the horizon, and Rude Dude, oh man. I think our analyst desk has set us up really well for what we could be expecting from both these teams moving into the next game, but the focus has to be on that draft and on the champions specifically that have been highlighted as necessary takeaways.
Yeah, I think that's really hit the nail on the head, honestly. This is why we have the analyst desk, kind of just to pick apart this in an instance, right? Where APA gets Syndra, Niles gets Jace, and Odd Orange gets Lee Sin. These are things that we don't expect to happen in game number 2. I think that if you're going to give Maryville just complete comfort, honestly, it's a weird sense of restoring hope that it gives me to Nameless Randoms, because they took that game to be so close up against just the insane amount of comfort picks that Maryville had. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to work going into the second game, whether they take away those bans and then the game looks a little bit closer, or if the just core of the meta starts to speak through and give Nameless Randoms a bit more of an advantage.
All right, let's figure this out. Zeri and Zoe taken away once again. The double Zeds hitting the ban table, and for good reason. We talked a little bit about that Rise and the possibility for a Syndra takeaway from Nameless Randoms, but it will come at a cost. The customizability that they had available to them last draft, not the same here.
No, it's not. And these next two bans, they need to change. We need to get something different here, because so the option here, if we do see this Corki locked in as the third ban, is that okay, well, instead of a game 1 repeat, is okay, Niles or APA gets Syndra, right? But then Nameless Randoms, okay, we take away the Syndra, that's fine. So Lee Sin comes through on the B1 for Maryville, which is what they did last time, but the dynamic of the mid jungle has already changed because the Syndra's been taken away. So maybe the Lee Sin doesn't look as good. Maybe it does, because Orange is just insane on the Lee Sin and we can't really discredit that. Now we have the opportunity to say, well, what if Nameless Randoms take the Jace here? What if they're going to just pick it up for themselves? Or what if they pick Malphite or Ornn on 1 or 2 to dissuade a Jace, for example? There are a few adaptations that they can make, but in doing so, they do sacrifice what is one of their really strong points of the game, which was the Jinx Thresh bot lane. I really think that Z-Score, despite the slight missteps in laning phase, really did have some good points through the game to set those hooks up and put himself back out in the lead.
It did look really good. I like that they at least give us the hover of the Aurelion Soul and the Pike, two champions that the members of Maryville are known very, very well for, but they end up opting for the Leona. We talked a little bit about Z-Score already and, the way that he looked on the Thresh. How are you expecting that to translate into this pick?
I think that we saw a little bit of overzealousness from Z-Score, right? Particularly in the mid game when they ended up losing out on one of the dragons down on bot side. When he took that hook. So I think Leona gives him a little bit more leeway to fish for engages without having to fully commit to something. The Solar Flare can be used fairly sparingly as a let's see what sticks kind of engaged sort of situation. It also does open up for Maryville to potentially take the Thresh for themselves. But instead, we're getting a Nico.
Okay, this is interesting. This is actually something that APA has been experimenting with a lot recently. The Nico did get a few buffs and has been looking more powerful, but an Ornn, something that was taken away by Maryville in the second phase last time, now picked up early for the Nameless Randoms, and I like this adaptation because it's something that Maryville obviously would rather not play into with that Jace.
Yeah, you want to have your Jace having kill threat, and diving on is just something that is not very easy. Now, Nameless Randoms, a really good ban away is this Braum. They take away the potential to block the Call of Forge God with the Unbreakable. Expecting Maryville to change up their bans as well. Probably going to be taking away the likes of the Viego, potentially the Xin Zhao as well, so that Odd Orange in the mid lane or in the jungle, can have a really good jungle route and can be just a little bit more comfortable with taking those invades. And maybe they just, for Nameless Randoms here, ban away that Thresh as the second support, since the entire bot lane is yet to be picked, and there we go, we've still got Thresh Aphelios as a duo, which did exist. Now Maryville have the option to go for the Aphelios Lulu here if they want to try and cheat late game scaling by just having an enchanter versus no enchanter. We'll have to see which option they go for. But Nameless, they've got a pretty good fourth pick right now because they know what they're playing against in the mid lane. Just outside of Azog playing some on-hit Nico or Shady playing some roaming Nico support, they know that they're going to be picking into this Nico mid lane, so their next couple picks should be fairly comfortable for them at the very least.
Yeah, Nico is having an interesting interaction right here because Nameless have set themselves up with a draft that, while it looks very similar, has a lot less peel available to it. And when I see a draft like that, I think, okay, Nameless are going to try and play this a lot more aggressive. They're going to try and play with a lot more dive, but Nico is pretty darn good into champions that want to get on top of her, and it's this almost dissuasion that Maryville have put up, but the Hecarim sort of doubled down on that backline access. It's gonna cause problems for who? I don't know.
Okay, so it could well be both of them. Obviously, if Nico mistimes that ulti, then there's a very real possibility that APA just gets absolutely obliterated. But that Pot Blossom, as you mentioned, just so good at preventing engages and getting a massive shield. You can become so durable effectively that front line, and last second switch into the Xayah. There's no reason they can't just go Rakan once again here on 5 and have a nice staple bot lane once more. Obviously picking yourself into a counter matchup with the Leona versus Rakan, but a lot of people have tended to pick Rakan into Leona time and time again just because we can we're valuing different things from the Rakan. His team fighting incredible. And now everybody at home, we can't get baited. You can see Dia's face lighting up right now at the potential. We'll hold because this combo between the Seraphine and the Hecarim, which gets locked in.
Oh my god, it's happening! Oh my god, it's happening! Oh my lord! All right, so
context. Here is a Sona Seraphine 2 trick. Proceed. Proceed.
That is important context for why I'm excited about this pick, because I am more than sure that you're going to bring me back down to earth, Rooted, and tell me all the reasons why this probably won't work. However, at face value, I gotta say, pretty good team fight right here, and pretty good disruption on what is otherwise a very troublesome backline for Maryville.
It's a core backline now set up for Nameless randoms as well. Even if it is just a Seraphine Jinx, it's an Enchanter alongside a Jinx. Just as a simple statement to put out there, you have got that little bit of added layer of peel. You've also got a load of teamfight that extends through not just the front line but the back line as well. That encore can go through everybody, right? We all know the range of a max range encore, that it can go down mid tier 1 to the enemy inhibitor, whatever you want, if you get 5 people on it. This ability to change a team fight is going to be something that I'm looking to Detention for once again, to set up the team, because coming into the series we'd highlighted Detention as this player that in team fights, in skirmishes, is looking to set up the team for success, set up Pint specifically here for success. Now Sorjed does have the option as well, this Hecarim, to be an absolute monster and try and take down the backline of Azog, of APA, of Niles. But obviously we talked about this dive style that at least Nameless randoms have got in a little bit of essence with the Ornn, Hecarim and Leona, that may be a little bit stymied by a Xayah and a Nico, who are 2 very good champions at stopping dive.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to play into the Maryville squad, especially given that at least Detention's playstyle, well, it does still fit in the same vein, has changed up pretty significantly. Things like the Vex or the Lissandra do have access to this on-demand engage, right? They jump forward, they press a button, and already the fight has started. Seraphine's not exactly like that, right? She's a lot longer range. You do have to fish for these engages more often than not, and can require a lot more backup. And I wonder if Detention, having to take literally that split second or 2 more to start a fight, may result in Nameless randoms not finding fights in the first place, and instead being stuck with a composition that is already well countered by Maryville.
And I think that Detention, if we call back to game number 1, did have those split-second decisions that went in his favour when the Soul Point Drake was being taken by Maryville by just Odd Orange, and they were able to find that aggressive look, take 2 picks, which started everything on leading them to the Baron that ultimately got turned around. It was Detention flying in on the Vex, making that split-second call to go, this is a fight angle, we need to take this now, and going in. I think that this Seraphine, if he can come as well with Sorjed to be, okay, you need to go now, don't worry, you've got the support of Ornn, Leona and me in the backline, to use that communication to find those engages. If they get that split-second window, I think that this Nameless random squad can find success. And something else to mention is that APA does have really good tools to, get away from, obviously, engage with the ulti. But if you get CC'd by that charm, you want to be casting Pot Blossom before you've been CC'd, because frequently it can be too little too late.
It really can. It's very difficult to balance things on the Nico, and APA, as we can imagine, is somebody who we would think is up to the challenge. 5-man play early on from Nameless randoms could spawn out Odd Orange if he does go on a cheeky little invade.
So level 1, last time, Maryville, you did this exact same thing where they put the ward in. Now Nameless randoms, they've gone back, they've looked, and they're looking to see if they do it again. They've put down this sort of defensive line of 4 people. Level 1 CC could come from detention as well. But good adaptation from Maryville. You saw missing pings come through in the mid lane by what is actually APA and not Odd Orange. And they could still do the same thing here. You can see that they're slowly stacking, but Maryville are smart. They're going to try and go together to make this stack play work.
You know, I have a question, and though it is small, it is, I will say, of relative importance. If you are Nico and you transform into, say, a Lee Sin, do you get access to the Mastery Flash from Lee Sin?
I have no idea.
That's an excellent... I think that there needs to be more research done to find the answer
We
to
need
this
more
question.
BMing.
Exactly. For right now, Maryville are doing something aggressive, whether it be Flash and Mastery or not. They are certainly taking camps, and Niles is solo zoning Sajed for right now. So on this Hecarim, where he was initially put in the driver's seat, somehow I don't think he wanted the game to start this way, and with Odd Orange now roaming over level 2, it's going to be First Blood going over to Maryville.
No.
You can only imagine Niles picks it up with the auto, and Koic forced to flash over the wall. Disaster for Nameless Man at randoms.
Kind of a really good start for Maryville, kind of disastrous for Nameless Randoms. They lose both camps. Niles just running interference. He pokes down Sorjed early enough to make him force that smite early on. And then Odd Orange quite easily says, thank you for the leash. And then they're able to just quite handily take that fight. Level 2 to level 1 is such a big difference, mainly in bot lane, but it's reminiscent of that Nico game. Sorjed is still level 1 and Odd Orange, he doesn't have smite, but neither does Sorjed.
Sorjed literally can't do anything right now. He's a level 1 Hecarim. This is his worst nightmare. He has access to absolutely 0 camps. As APA and detention fight it out. Z-Score does come over.
No.
The Wolf gets stolen by Odd Orange, and now we're committing to the fight. Double Root comes in. Sajed goes down again. He's still level 1, and APA does get rooted up at the end. Hino not quite going to claim his life. Instead, turning around with the rest of the squad. Pine thinking about committing detention. Turns around, the heal comes in. A double kill goes Odd Orange's way, and Nameless Random slip further and further out of the early game.
We're 3 minutes into this game and Sorjed hasn't killed a minion, dear. It's absolute disaster for this jungler, and now Pint, he's got flash.
Knock up, not going to land this time, as that flash is forced to be used, but things could not be going a whole lot worse for Nameless Randoms right now.
Look at the left.
Oh, Jesus.
Look at that graphic.
Oh, Jesus.
Get it. Do it, Sorjed. You've got this. Niles
One last auto.
Niles is top lane. There we go. Kudos. Don't invade. This is rough, but this is not an invade angle. If he gets this blue buff, then it's kind of it may well save his early game, but it's going to be a close call. We've got Niles who just TP'd back into the top lane. He's getting support from detention here.
Odd Orange knows he's got the ward. He's going over the side. He's got smite as well. It's a good thing detention is here to at least keep it. Sajed going down. Koic having to roam over as well. Odd Orange does commit, though. They've still got the level advantage, and another double root comes in. Last auto from APA and from Niles. Claims the 3rd death on the Hecarim. A double kill going to Niles. Koic, remember, no flash from earlier. He is going down 7-0, and 1 minion killed by Sajed.
Thank God that back in Season 10, Riot changed it so that every camp was worth 4, so that it at least doesn't look as bad as he's killed 1 creep. But this is an absolute masterclass from Maryville's early game, using the early game power of a Jace and a Lee Sin. And now they could well dive detention.
Oh no, they are. That's exactly what's happening. No knockup does land, but it simply doesn't matter. You're right. You know what? I overestimated the power of the knockup. Shady just has to be around, and this dive is going off. I don't think that anybody could have predicted this. Our analyst desk are a bunch of gods who did some incredible work during the break, but this game has gone in a way that is really showing us what is happening.
Okay, so at least by Riot standings, I believe a major lead is defined by whenever any team has 55% of the gold share. Maryville right now have got over 60, at least. Like, they are easily slamming this early game right now. 11 out of 17 here. They're looking pretty good.
Okay, but score's going on a play, right? Hazok, oh lord, the cleanse as well. Shady should be able to get out of here. Remember, Sajid's only level 3 right now, and the re-engage from Shady may very well kill Score. Ignite goes down onto Shady, but Odd Orange, surprise, surprise, is here once again. Some 100 HP on Z's Score as Sajid barely gets out, and Score ends up going down. This just gets harder and harder, and a lot of this, so much of this, all of this has to do with how Maryville are playing around Odd Orange, because yeah, he's a hero, but I didn't expect this level of performance today.
And coming into this tournament, the coach of Maryville, Jensen, gave everybody a bit of a briefing, a bit of a rundown, saying that Odd Orange was one of the best junglers at forcing an advantage. When he has a lead, he snowballs it like no other jungler. And I think that this game, dear, I think you'll agree, and I think that everybody at home will agree, may well be the best showcase of that we could possibly see.
This is a SKT T1 reminiscent performance on a Lee Sin. I think the last time I saw a jungler dominate the early game like this, it was Peanut, wasn't it?
Versus the Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah.
MSI.
Oh god. Oh lord. It's just so much. The humanity of all of this is insane. APA, I suppose, is proxying waves now because he can, and, well, he's got nothing to worry about because Sajid is off on an invade trying to take the Scuttle Crab down for the second time this game. Odd Orange, meanwhile, has taken his red buff, and Niles has just spotted out the Heck Room once more, so I suspect that he's going to go down, giving us our 11th kill in 7 minutes.
Well, this game, you know what, dear? Rule number 1 of casting is never say a game's over, and I may have to break it because Nameless randoms, they're getting killed in the bot side. No, I don't need to wait. We're fine. Exog's holding that blade caller to give just the slightest bit of hope to Pint for him to rip it from him when he presses that E button.
It's like in chess, you know, you've got the little fork set up with your knight. You know you can check them at any time, but you just leave it there. You just let it happen. All right, let's see. Sajid? Let's take a look at how this happened.
Yeah, so this is just level advantage. I mean, Q even goes wide actually from Azog there, so it could actually be a fairly good trade, but it is just level lead and item difference, unfortunately, right now. Eclipse is doing so much work. That ability is really nice. And then level 6 comes through for Azog. He's able to get that reset, or reset his health and reset the aggro at least off Pint, but 2 levels down now. For the Jinx, 2 levels down in, I can only assume, in the jungle. Yep, in the jungle we've got 2 levels, 1 in the mid lane as well. So on top of what is currently a 7,000 gold lead, there is approximately 2,500 gold of intangibles from base stats from levels. So Maryville are slamming on all regards. First item already picked up for Odd Orange. That may be the fastest gold drinker we see of the tournament.
It honestly likely will. Okay. Records are going to be set right here. Izog, maybe in, I want to say, a little bit of trouble. There is a level 6 on detention, and it is a 2v1. Azog not able to get out in time. Doesn't have the cleanse available just yet, and it will be the first kill for Nameless randoms going over to Sajid, and there is nothing more poetic than that.
There we go. And after all of the depth and the despair that he's been through, he's going to get solo killed by Shady.
Is he really?
He doesn't have, he had ulti. Oh, okay. I thought that was going to be a solo kill. Turns out that it wasn't.
Have real commit. No, he does have real commitment. He's shadowing Sajid. Now the ultimate gets popped, forcing the ultimate from Sajid to get out of his own jungle. That is real commit.
What is Shady doing? This is not his side of the map, remember. Now, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I am more so perplexed at the state of the game. Oh, not perplexed at the state of the game. I can tell you what the state of the game is. More so that we've got to a position where Shady can walk between the mid-tier 2 and tier 3 turrets with reckless abandon, and that just be a standard thing to happen.
This may very well... We might actually get a Rift Herald dance. I was looking at the Rift Herald right now, and I was going, you know what? 9 minutes into the game, if we crack this tier 2, right? I could see it happening. There's a dream here. Koic trying to keep his own dream alive as APA does tank up the tower. Koic still pretty darn tanky, and I will say, considering the state of the game, this guy's doing pretty well.
Is he?
Yeah. He's only down 30 CS, and he died once in like a 1v3 or something. You know, he's...
You did preface it by saying considering the state of the game. Considering his team has 13 deaths, he only has one of them. So, yeah, go on, Koic. And to be fair, he's allowed this one because last game he got absolutely bullied.
Mm-hmm.
It was the opposite situation. He was the one that got dove 4 times. Attention just receiving the top lane treatment, but by playing Seraphine.
Now do you think he's looking at everybody else going, now you know how it feels, you know? He left me up on an island in game 1. Little did you know game 2 is coming for you.
Well, I'd like to think that the comms are maybe a little more proactive than haha, your turn, instead of Oh, I genuinely got baited.
It does seem like it. However, we got a big encore coming through. 3 connections on that, so there may be another kill. APA going pretty low. Does actually end up not getting out. His detention calls his bluff. Z-Score has gotten out alive until the Shock Blast connects, and Niles evens things up. 2 kills for Nameless Randoms now on the board. They've literally doubled the amount of kills that they had just off of that play alone, but somehow, someway, not quite enough. Ward still on Sajed, and Maryville considering going over the wall for this one. They want to press this advantage as much as possible. Ult does get popped. Pint forced to flash, even still getting charmed underneath the tower. Odd Orange does commit, doesn't get rooted up. He may end up going underneath the tower. There he goes. Odd Orange picks up the kill. Now fighting 1v1 with detention. Should go down to just one more auto, and he will, as Niles desperately tries to fight things out alongside Azog. We've got that Blade Caller coming in, and it does a lot of work, deleting Sajed from the board, removing half of Koic's health, and keeping Maryville in the same amount of dominance as they were moments ago, because despite the skirmish that has happened here, Rooted, I think we can agree, these guys are still in charge.
Yep, 7k lead, 12 minutes into the game. I will give them the benefit of the doubt that this game probably fairly Maryville favoured. A little bit of a gold swing. You can see there's just a little dip right there a couple of minutes ago where they managed to get a shutdown, but the gold lead is still way too large to assume that Nameless Randoms will be able to come back into this game. Obviously, good looks, good hopes and attempts from them, and this is something that we did see from them in game number 1 where they swung back a little bit. They weren't able to, or they weren't willing to go down without a fight. And that may well be the case once again here. Did Niles sneak in there?
Pant's got an idea, but it is not enough of one flash over the traps as well with the last auto to collect the kill. Pint gets dealt another dark hand, but Sajed comes up. He'll be able to collect Niles underneath the tower. Tower actually turns on him instead, and Sajed is forced to back off. However, good thing that we got to finish that play seeing him. X-Tech Dragon once again going to be the soul, but Sajed, the person that I want to focus on, because we talked about the comms, now you're thinking, you know what, they're probably a little bit more proactive. This is something where Sajed is really going to shine, and while it's still an immensely difficult game for them, the fact is, Nameless Randoms are making plays around their jungler, who is one of the strongest personalities, who is one of the loudest voices on this team, and who is keeping them in it.
You know what's funny? Is that until that wolf camp, Sajed was actually ahead in XP of Odd Orange.
Wow.
Yep, that's a great question. And they may look to try and force something here. He has ulti now.
Yeah, Ornhorn actually going to come in, get no knockups at all, but it does force the ultimate from Azog. Remember, Blade Caller still available. Nice counter engage from APA, however, does find 2 roots, and Z-Score ends up going down. Sajed tries to pick up Shady, but the dash over the wall keeps him alive. Maryville do not lose a single member, and they take 4 with them, almost completing an ace 15 minutes into the game. They will instead opt for the tier 2 tower of the bot lane.
And let's just give a moment to remember that Maryville hit 15 plates this game as well, so the gold lead is going to be even further extended their way. It is currently the second in a turret that has fallen. So we're looking like APA and the rest of Maryville are on their way to a fairly commanding victory here, with all those structures being taken, with Herald number 2 now ready to be taken, dear. Your prophecy of the Dancing Herald will probably require another 1-team fight for Maryville, and also to take the Herald as well. But is this where Sajed gets to level 9 and we see the XP lead again?
It might actually be. He's going to
get there.
Yeah, there we go. Level 9 again, dominating Odd Orange. It is simply jungle difference now.
It really is. No, you know how much kill participation has Sajed got?
Got 100%.
And how much has Odd Orange got?
Not 100%.
Exactly, that's what's important. There we go. Unlucky. Go next, I think, for Orange.
As we come up on the 15-minute mark, Maryville can technically forfeit, but something tells me they won't be doing it right now at the very least. Sajed does manage to get away once more, chaunting his little hooves in the face of Maryville. However, what he doesn't know is that Maryville are likely going to punish him for it in the next couple of minutes. They don't have a pushing wave in the mid lane, however, which is making things a little bit more difficult for them.
Yeah. And you can see that Maryville, at this point, they don't particularly care to have one. They've got a pushing wave in the top lane, and they've got a Herald, so I think that this could be one of the classic cardinal sins, taking a inhib 3-15 minutes, but there are 5 members of Nameless Randoms here to try and respond.
They don't want the Dancing Herald. At Maryville, they just threw the Dancing Herald away, and they didn't even get the inhibitor tower for it. Just a little bit of a chunk there. APA continues to throw autos in, but Nameless Randoms don't have a whole lot that they can do about it. Quite obviously, they can poke over the wall. They've already been forced back into the fountain multiple times, but now Thornhorn comes down. The Encore does connect 1-2 members, and the Rocket as well, but not a single member of Maryville goes down. Instead, it is APA in the backlines. Auto Orange does eventually fall. It is traded back. APA collects a second kill with the help of Azog. Inhibitor going to go down as well. 2 members dead for the side of Nameless Randoms, but Maryville will get away.
Hextech gates out of the base. That is the way to absolutely style your way out of the base, honestly. You've just taken their inhibitor and then you take their base gates out to safety. Kind of insult to injury, salt in the wound, whichever metaphors we want to be throwing out there. But Maryville right now, with a substantial lead in this game, have taken the top lane inhibitor at 16 minutes in. It means that at roughly 20 minutes it is going to be back. Around the timing of the Baron, and that top lane presence won't be quite so large as it will be for the next few minutes. And obviously there is a caution with taking inhibitors so early that you're funneling farm into the enemies. Now Maryville do have to be proactive with this 5-minute window and make sure that they are, getting themselves into a good spot and keeping that lead going, because with all of this gold funneling into Maryville once again, there is that chance that they start to creep their way back into this game. Now, of course, it's probably not so egregious that the game is going to get turned around, and all of the gold going into Nameless Randoms probably won't swing the game entirely, particularly since Maryville are making all of these plays happen across the map. And something else I want to posit here is that there's also the argument that at this stage, Nameless Randoms don't have the answer to super minions.
That's true. They are going to have a pretty difficult time answering them right now. I did have a question for you, though, based on that, right? The taking inhibitor, pre-15 minutes, right? Or pre-20 minutes, rather. And that is, when you are getting a bunch of gold, how, ideally, do you actually funnel it as Nameless Randoms? Because they've got Pint, the Jinx, who obviously wants farm, but if Pint's not there, you also can't fight. So how do you sort of balance this?
I think that in this game, you never want to fight for the next 20 minutes. You're hoping on some whim that Maryville just forget to end the game, and you funnel all of that gold onto Pint. You want to funnel as much gold into this ADC as possible, so that when Maryville do go for a fight, when you ultimately have to engage it, likely the loss of a third inhib, your Jinx is in the best possible position to try and take that fight.
Expecting that there may be violence soon, Maryville are setting up for it. Pint has rotated down, leaving the super minions to do as they like. Z-Score goes on an engage, but Eclipse is not enough to save him from the positioning in the center of 5 people. Shady instead was on the re-engage, finding 2 members, but ultimately disengaging. And Maryville continue to funnel pressure into the base as minions continue to decimate the Nexus towers. Supers, no less, had to be addressed by Nameless Randoms there, and it's bought Maryville enough time to take their second inhibitor tower of the game.
Yep, there we go. That's going to be the inhib as well, shortly falling. Z-Score is going to be back up, but with no solar flare, won't be too easy. Rooted up on APA, but a nice shadow there gets him out to safety, and actually with Niles taking that mid lane, the bot inhibitor is going to survive for a little bit longer, but it is at the cost of a middle lane turret. Now the base completely bare, save for those Nexus turrets, and 1 mid lane inhibitor. I don't know that Bastion is going to be enough for Nameless Randoms.
Ooh, Charm actually comes in there. Shady, I do believe, should be able to survive, can get out over the wall, but instead commits onto Sajed as APA fighting his own fight with Z-Score off on the side. Does manage to get away himself. Azog is in the base, the furthest he can be, picking up kills left and right with the assistance of Odd Orange. They've cleaned up Kowick and once again leave Pint the only member alive. We left inside of the fountain to regenerate, take some poke, and ultimately witness as the life bleeds out from Nameless Randoms as Maryville end up taking their series in one of the cleanest 2-0 fashions imaginable.
20 minutes, 34 seconds. Put it in, mark it, whatever we want to do. Write it down as what is probably going to be one of the fastest games of the PGCQ2 here. Maryville University put on an absolute display of how to snowball an early game. And unfortunately for Nameless Randoms, it started out a little bit similar to game number 1, but it was just so much faster.
It really was, and it was terrifying to see. We talked up Odd Orange a bunch, and of course, the rest of the team really propping him up as well, being able to assist in these very, very aggressive invades. Niles playing a massive part of how that level 1 actually ended up going.
Yeah, I mean, he just walks forward and just starts whacking onto a Hecarim, and ultimately when you're taking a red buff, the tether range, the leashing on that means that you're sort of pinned into a finite circle of where you can successfully take the camp and not get hit by Jace, and unfortunately that circle gets thinner and thinner, the effective range decreases and decreases, and eventually with the Raptor camp having gone over and then Odd Orange just walking forward says thank you for the leash on the red buff, and Niles, even though he sacrifices 2-3 minions, the lead that he gets his jungler is far more palpable, that they then extended to a bot lane invade, and the first camp of the game being a Rift Scuttler for any jungler, that's a sad state.
Yeah, it was rough to watch, but at the same time, very enjoyable. We got to thank these teams for putting on a show for us. At the same time, we've got sponsors to thank as well. A big shout out to Skulls. If you're looking to upgrade your gamer gear, you got to look no further. You can start your 2022 off right with official unified esports merchandise brought to you by Skulls. Hoodies, joggers, jerseys, armbands, and there's a lot more coming soon. Got the skill, now get the swag. Skulls.com/collections/unified has everything you need. Gear up, game on with Skulls. And with that, my friends, we're going to toss it over to an interview.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by the victorious mid laner of Maryville University. That would be always point ahead, APA.
Hello.
And APA, this is the first chance that we have had to talk with you. You just joined Maryville University. I know that you were working on school for the first couple weeks, and now you're with them for OQ2. What's it been like going to college and playing League?
It's definitely a new experience. Never been in a room with like 9 other guys before. It's definitely super nice. I enjoy spending time with all the people here, so it's a very refreshing experience.
Yeah, so, being with this team, I know a lot of the amateur teams that you were competing with, of course, that's remote. Now, kind of being with everyone, what's some of the fun stuff that you guys have been able to do throughout your semester so far?
Obviously just being in person and interacting is super cool compared to just being online. But we generally do a lot of stuff as a team. We'll have team dinners. Last night, for example, we were at Now's dorm and we played some board games for 4 or 5 hours, and we do that pretty often.
Yeah. That's awesome to hear. I know it's one of the cool parts about, of course, Maryville and being in person, not being remote like a lot of the other teams. So really glad to hear that you guys are all taking advantage of that. But I want to talk more about the games as, that last one was quick. You guys got the 2-0. You've only dropped 1 game so far, including OQs.
Yep.
What's it been like joining this team, joining this roster, and how do you feel like your play's at and where this team's at the moment?
I think we're learning a new system under our coach Jensen. So we've been consistently refining that and leveling up our play. And you can even see that in the last game. That last game was probably the epitome of how we play. And you'll see a lot more of that coming in.
I love seeing the pushing sides and attacking the map. I know it's something that you've always done really well with Odd Orange going back to 2020 and Supernova. What's it been like being reunited with him?
Oh, it's nice. We were definitely still friends last year in 2021. So just retouching each other and getting back into what's it called? Really close friends is very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously being in person has got to help with that as well.
Yep.
APA, I know that you guys made quick work of that 2-0, but in this group, you got another team you got to deal with as we see an Odd Orange little cameo there in the interview. Group D, you guys are the number 1 seed. Up next, we've got the number 2 and the number 3 seed going toe-to-toe. That would be Taco Gaming and a familiar face in Supernova. Any predictions there? Any team that you are really looking forward to face in this tournament? Where's your head at?
I think the only team I'm looking forward to face is Hunter Next. I think that's the only competition at the moment.
Well, hey, Smack said that he thought you guys were a top 2 team in the tournament. After that game, or those 2 games, I should say, I can't really disagree. You guys looked pretty dominant, and I'm really excited to see you and the rest of the squad go toe-to-toe with everyone else throughout the rest of this event. Before I let you go, just want to give you the floor. Any thank yous, shout-outs you'd like to give?
Obviously, shout out to my team. It's been very nice being here. Shout out to my parents. Pretty sure they're back home watching my games. It's very loving how supportive they are, and that's kind of it.
All right, always fun, APA. Best of luck in your games next time we see you next week. And until then, hopefully we get to see you in Champs Queue. I know you got access, right?
Yep.
I hope you're going to be hitting that pretty hard.
Yep, I played a couple games yesterday.
Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear. All right, with that said, we're going to go to a break, and we will be back with the next series as soon as we can. Oh, desk. My bad. Desk. Oh, I couldn't ditch you guys. Back to the desk. APA, I am ditching you, but I got to bring back Smacks and Zoo as we got to break down just how Maryville made that a quick game 2 after our first game. All right, I was trying to ditch you guys. I apologize.
Move up, Cubby.
All right. Well, I got to move on up so these guys can hear me.
There he is.
What up, guys? All right, we're back. I was trying to ditch you guys. You're back. I was telling the broadcast. Yeah, we got to get everything sorted out, make sure we can talk with you guys. But, man, what a game that was. I know it was really quick. It was dominant. And Zoo, want to give you a lot of credit. You pretty much called the blueprint of how that was going to go.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the main thing here is, so the draft on red side, well, first off, I really like how they dropped they dropped Corky, they banned Syndra. I think that was phenomenal from them. That was good prep. And I actually liked that. I liked their 3 picks, their first 3 picks a lot too. You're going to get Prio bot side because Maryville tends to drop their bot lane to 4-5. So you're going to get Prio bot. Jinx, with rockets will get push. And then you have 2 forms of engage. You have a really good top laner to kind of neutralize that Jace. But I felt like they just fumbled the bag in 4-5, where they're banning Thresh, which I think was not the best ban. But then what you need when you have that stable team fight core is you need tools to be able to get you to the point where you can actually team fight. So, this sort of comp on paper looks all nice and cohesive and all that stuff, but what you really have is the same thing that you had last time, is you have a farming jungler versus a Lee Sin that has 2 lanes of solo prio. And when you lose the level 1s, you can't fight level 2, you can't fight level 3. This is something that's going to happen when you play against good teams. And this is why I think that the farming jungle style is really is a bit harder to play than people actually give it credit for. You think you could just pick a Hecarim and AFK farm. But, this is exactly what happens when you play against a team like Maryville. And, I'm really, really glad that Maryville used their early advantage in this game, unlike the first game, on the first clear, to be specific. And I really like how they continue to invade. They did a good job tracking jungle camps, of course, with Odd Orange. That's no surprise. And all those players are very smart about that. And it's a Maryville game when no turrets have been taken down and Shady's fighting behind tier 2s. The guy's an absolute gamer. So,
yeah,
really fantastic from Maryville. But, for everyone kind of watching this, if this is the type of comp that you run on the right side, you're not giving yourself any tools to succeed early. And you're kind of just hoping that the enemy team doesn't punish you.
That is something that we were looking for Nameless randoms to patch up going into the second game. And I do want to also credit, APA said it himself, right? What they've been working on with the team, with Jensen, with this system, he said that second game is it all coming together, right? That is the game plan. And we really saw that shine in that one, especially with what just happened in the level 1, Smack.
Yeah, we have to go back and watch it again.
Sort of immediately, yeah.
I'm really sorry to Nameless Randoms to bring this one up for you one more time, but yeah, we were talking about AFK farming on Hecarim. Odd Orange made it seem more like just AFK flat out at this point, because Hecarim was not allowed to play the game at all. He gets there onto his level 1, onto his red buff, and there's already the whole team here. Now, don't be fooled. That was in fact Nico. It wasn't Azog roaming up on the Zaya, but everyone else is here for Maryville. They're denying Sajed this red buff. They already take the Raptors too, and then they get first blood. This is a level 2 Lee Sin. He gets to take the red buff. Oh man, it's already so doomed from here, Cubby. But then he gets to walk around the rift and go over to the wolves and kill him a second time.
Yeah. Well, you know, when Zeus said that this is what happens when you have shoving solos and a jungler that can invade, this is Auto Orange really getting the most out of it. And, you know, working with APA, that close friendship that he teased. Auto Orange Niles, a duo that we were very familiar with. Seems like Maryville is right back at home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just...
Oh, for sure, man. For sure.
It's the wolf too. Oh, man.
Oh, it's so sad. And then hitting the level 3
1.
there. Oh, absolutely phenomenal combo with the CC there. And, you know, this is where, you know, kudos to Nameless for putting up a fight. But this is where in your heads, you just want to go next. If this is a scrim game, you're going into the next game.
Yeah, it's done.
You know, you're absolutely going. But I generally think that the early game in the laning phase and, you know, playing around camp respawn timers and all that stuff, it's generally the most misunderstood part of, you know, this level of play. And so, you know, for anyone watching, I think the big thing to take away is the importance of having a good core for your team comp to play around. Like Nameless Randoms had fantastic first 3 picks, but you have to be able to have a balance. You know, if you don't have actionable prio, or if you don't have ways to match what the enemy wants to do, you're never going to get yourself to the opportunity where you can actually fight the way you want. And if you go, and you know, this is really just a smaller example of what happens with North America when we go to Worlds. You know, if you go to Worlds, you watch a team like 100 Thieves last year when they played in groups versus T1. T1 plays 1-3-1 split versus Malphite, Ori, and Leona, and Malphite used his ult 2 times with 0 KP. And, you know, so this is the sort of thing that tends to happen. And, you know, just good learning experience for everyone. I think Maryville played fantastic. I think there's not enough great things I could say about Jensen. He's really a phenomenal coach. And, you know, good learning experience for everyone, both those in-game and those watching.
Yeah, of course, Nameless Randoms are not eliminated from the tournament. We will be seeing them play for their tournament lives next week against the loser of the second series that we have. But before we say goodbye to Nameless Randoms on Broadcast Max, do you have any silver linings or things that you liked from them? I know that game 2 was really tough, but I liked Pite in game 1. I could see some of the carry potential with Sajid as well if he's allowed to full clear.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pint has been really surprising me today. I thought that mainly what I was going to be seeing from this team was mid-jungle. I thought the tension looked really solid in those games. Now, he was against APA, so I don't want to slight him too much. I think very, very highly of APA in this team and in previous ones he's been on. But specifically for Pint, I think this was a really solid set of games for him, despite the pretty crushing defeats for his team. So definitely watch out for this player in the rest of the tournament.
I always like looking out for the highlights, and I know that we have another series today, but unfortunately, Zoo will not be joining us for that one. We're going to have another guest, so everyone, follow Zoo at home. Zoo, any closing thoughts you'd like to say before we let you go?
No, just thanks for having me, and, you know, I'm sure the next time I'm on the desk, there's probably a 90% chance it's a Maryville match, so, you know, your resident Maryville expert.
They got 2 teams in this tournament, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for everyone for having me, and, you know, you can find me on Twitter at Zoo.
Yeah, check him out. Does coaching one-on-ones and also helping out with another collegiate team at the moment in Aquinas, I believe. So
correct.
But enough from the first. We're going to transition to the second. Before we do that, I'm going to hop to a quick break. But stay tuned. We got more League of Legends actions coming right to you.